Welcome to Track 1, lap number 14 of Excel Tips and Tricks from Accelerated Development. In today's quick demo, we'll look at some very handy data entry techniques which can simplify and improve the accuracy of your data entry tasks. So, let's start our engines and get ready to accelerate. Okay, here we have our default table, the company that we normally work with, Thunderbolt Bicycles, and a list of bicycles. What we want to do today is we want to be able to navigate through this block of data. You see that we have pretty much a solid block of data. And we want to be able to stay within that block and add rows by using our keyboard. Now, most of you are probably aware that when we use our Enter key, that our cell selector moves downward, as I'm demonstrating now. However, when we're doing data entry within a block like this, what we want to be able to do is to use our Tab key to move to the right. And then when we hit the last column, we're going to be using our Enter key to return to when the first tab was executed, which was column A. So you use Tab to move over to the right and Enter to go to the first column of the next row. Another thing that we want to do in today's exercise is we want to be able to enter in prices or numbers that have decimals in them without entering the period. Now, the way to make that adjustment is to go to the Backstage view. So what we're going to do very quickly is go up to the ribbon and choose the File tab. And then once we get into what is known as the Backstage view, it's called that by Microsoft, we'll go over here to the next to the last button here. That's the Options button. Click on that. And that activates the Cell Options dialog box. From there, we want to go to the Advanced section. That's about in the middle here in the left-hand pane. I'll click on that. And then underneath Editing Options, the header Editing Options here, the second item is Automatically Insert a Decimal Point. We'll check that off. 2 places. And we'll accept that. So now I'm just going to click on OK. And we're ready to go. Alright, so we're going to start over here in cell A8. And I'll be using my keyboard to navigate. We're tabbing to the right. When we hit the F column, which is the comments column, we'll use Enter to proceed to the next row. So I'll type in road as my category, tab. Then we're going to type in Trek, tab, Alexa, tab. And now we get to the price. I'm going to put in $989.99, and I do not put any period. And I hit tab, and it accepts it as the price with a decimal point because of the option that we chose. I'll continue on with the date. Tab key, and we're going to put in the comment. But now we're in the last column, so we're going to put in Enter. We're going to press Enter to return to the first column. Now this can be very, very convenient if you're entering a lot of rows of data. You can simply look at your copy, continuing to hit Tab to move across. When you know that you're in the last column, you hit Enter to go to the next line. Now another thing that I want to point out to you today is how to copy data from the row above. I want to put road in again here as the category, but instead of typing it over, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control D. Control D is a keyboard shortcut to repeat the data that is directly above. I'll hit my Tab key to go to the next column, and I'm going to do it again, but this time it's a different shortcut that accomplishes the same thing. With Microsoft, there's always 2 or 3 ways to do the same thing. Control apostrophe. also copies data from the cell above. The only slight difference is that this maintains editing mode. You can see that there's still a flashing cursor, but you can still simply hit Tab to advance to the next column. So you have Control D and Control apostrophe to repeat data from the cell above. Now I'm going to just type in some data for the model, and we're going to type in the price without hitting the decimal point. Now we're at the date column, but now in the date column I'm also going to use another keyboard shortcut. We really like keyboard shortcuts at Accelerated Development. They save a lot of time. And this keyboard shortcut is Control semicolon. Control semicolon enters in the current date as stored by your system, whatever your computer system date is. We hit our Tab key to go to the next column. And just by way of example, we're going to put in the time. We're not really using it in this table, but in order to put in the time, that would be Control Shift semicolon. Control Shift semicolon. Okay? But that's not really part of this table, so I'm going to escape out of that. I'll put in the actual comment, which is patented aluminum alloy, if I spell it right, frame, period, and then I hit enter, and bam, I'm right back at the first column. Now in this cell, I'd like to get an entry that's already been used in the category column, but this time what I'm going to use is the keyboard shortcut Alt down arrow. Alt down arrow. And what that does is it brings up a list of unique entries that have already been used in that particular column. I can select that entry with my mouse, the one that I want, or I can use my up and down arrow keys to navigate to what I want. And when I see it highlighted, I can hit my enter key. But I'm still going to use my Tab key to navigate to the next cell. Another way that you can use entries that are stored in the column is to type in the first letter of something that you know is already there. For example, if I know that there's something with a C there, I can type in a C, and you can see that it's going to fill in charge because charge has already been used in row C of that column. It's already up here. Or I could try to type in Diamondback, for example, type in a D, but it doesn't come up. And the reason for that is simply because there are two D's there. Excel does not know which D we're referring to, DaVinci or Diamondback. So in this particular case, I have to give it a little bit more help. I'll type in an I, and wow, now it realizes what I want, Diamondback. So I can accept that entry by hitting my Tab key. Just typing in the first two letters and then my Tab key. Diamondback. We'll continue on. Type in the model, trace, and then we're going to type in the price for that model, $699.99. Did not hit the decimal point. And if you remember again, the date is Control semicolon, Tab. Oh, but at this point, we notice that we have an error. The price here says $6.99 for the Diamondback trace. It should be $6.69, not $6.99. Now I could click on it, but if I click on it with my mouse, what will happen is it does not realize anymore where the first tab entry is. So when I get to the last column, it's going to break my data entry mode and not return to the correct first column. So in order to maintain that data entry mode, I have to navigate back also using my Tab key. Now to navigate backwards using my Tab key, I'm going to hold down the Shift key as well before I hit Tab. So I'll hold down Shift and then hit Tab. Hold down Shift again and then hit Tab. So now I'm still maintaining my data entry integrity for the data entry mode. I can go up to the very top of my keyboard where my function keys are and hit the function key F2 to get into in-cell data entry mode. And now I'm just using my arrow keys to find the place that I want to make the correction. I make the correction that is needed, 669, and I hit my tab key to accept that entry. Hit my tab key again, and I'm back into the comments column. Alright, so the comment here is going to be great stability and comfort. And I just hit enter, and we're at the next row in the first column. So, I hope you found these tips to be helpful. Please join us next time for more accelerated tips and tricks.